To LearnPianoLive.com, this is an advanced lesson. So this is for students who are known by their friends as a pianist. You've got hopefully some knowledge of chords, maybe some sheet music reading, some sight reading skills. You know chords. You've been playing enough to impress almost all of your friends with your piano skills. So if that's you, you're in the right place. If you're in the lesson and it feels way too advanced, you might want to go check out yesterday's lesson, the intermediate version of this week's topic, or the lesson before that, the beginner's lesson, because those will break down the same concepts, only easier. So, but if you are an advanced student, then ask away. No question is too advanced or too obscure. So this is just all about you. You got to ask me the questions so I know what to answer and know how to help you out best. There's a couple other things I want to talk to you about too before this countdown clock gets to 0. All right, first and most important, ask a lot of questions. The way that you're going to do that is there's a couple different ways. You can jump in the chat room and talk with the other students who are logged in at the same time. I'll be watching the chat room too. You can ask your questions there. Or if it's a question that's just for me, a question about the lesson, especially if you know it's one that's going to fit best at the question and answer time at the end, then you can just put your name and your question in the box below this video, click submit, and then I will get that. Now, if you're already in the archives, if you're watching this not live, but you're watching this in the archives, then make sure at the end of the lesson you click on the survey button. You don't have to fill out the entire survey. If you want to, I'd love your feedback, but really the best part of that is that you can put your question in there, and then when you click submit, then I will get all of your questions. I'll make sure that you get them answered, whether you're in the archives or you're live. Right next to this video, there should be a PDF button and an MP3 button. Now, you don't really need those till after the lesson because I'm going to be showing you on screen the PDF and showing you how to use it. And I'll play the MP3 during the lesson too, so you know at the end of the lesson how you're going to use that. Some people, though, like to print out the PDF ahead of time, so as I'm making notes on my version, they can make the same notes on their version, but it works either way. All right, this is perhaps the most important part. You need to leave the lesson when you feel like you're sufficiently challenged. So, I'm teaching these lessons, 12 to 15 lessons a month. Normally, in traditional lessons, you're getting like a lesson every other week or so. So this is just way too much for you to take in. So, the goal is for you to get some little nugget of something that you can really practice on, really work on. Once you feel like you have that, then you really don't need anything else from me. Go practice. That's where this stuff is really going to happen. You're not going to get through this lesson and be able to play something really well. You're going to get through this lesson and have the information that you need to practice more effectively. That's really the goal here. So don't feel bad about taking off early. If you feel like halfway through the lesson you got as much as you can take in at that time, then go practice that thing, and then come back whenever you've got that thing down, or you're bored with it, or you just want to check out the next topic. Don't forget also that you've got the archives too. So if you want to see one little thing, just repeat it over and over and over. Just give me, hopefully within 24 hours after the lesson, this thing will be up in the archives, so you can just go back and watch it over and over and over and over and just get that little segment down. So today's lesson has a very specific goal. Out of the 8 sectors of musicianship, the one that we're focused on today is theory. So that's all about how music is put together. It's not as much about playing the music as it is understanding the music. So for some people, this is their favorite part. For some people, this is their least favorite part. Very few people have a neutral perspective on theory. But however you feel about it, it's really, really important. So you ready? I'm ready. Let's go.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, and everyone who was able to make it to last night's live broadcast. We didn't put that one on the schedule or promote it too much because I didn't know how that was going to go. So, but so far the feedback has been very positive, at least for the people who were up late enough to watch it, and maybe that's just because those people were out of their mind tired. But anyway, that should be up in the archives here very soon. We're probably throwing it on YouTube as well to let the public see into the craziness that is Learn Piano Live a little bit more. So anyway, let's jump into this thing. Today is a really weird lesson because we're dealing with lyrics. And it's Learn Piano Live, not Learn Lyrics Live, but a ton of you are writing your own music and wanting to put lyrics with it and want my input, apparently, on what to do with that. So let's jump in here, and I'm going to give you my my best advice on this stuff that I have. I do not have millions of records sold, nor do I have a number one song on the charts right now. So my advice is coming just from what I've seen a whole lot and the people that I've talked to, because there are some recurring themes among the lyricists that have made millions that I've talked to when I ask them about songwriting, specifically lyric writing. However, let me start out by saying that they all have like various techniques and like here's how you have to do it. So anyway, there's no necessarily best way to do it, but here are some general guidelines. And for every one of these guidelines, you're going to be able to find 100 top songs on the charts that violate any of these rules or all of these rules. So they're very much general guidelines, but just like writing a novel, you can read a ton of books about how to write a good novel, but in the end, it's really just kind of is good is popular. If successful is selling a lot of books. There's no formula for that. You just have to be the right person at the right time with the right story, and then once, of course, you have a little bit of notoriety, then everything that comes after that, of course, has the flavor of success after it. So a song from Taylor Swift, necessarily people are going to think that that's a better written song than a song by Jamin Collar, for example. So anyway, let's jump in here, and I'll just go through these, explain them if they need, and try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. So for all the people I've talked to, there's no best way to start lyrics or chords or melody. Are you supposed to write the song first and then create the melody and then put the lyrics with it? You're supposed to just write some good lyrics and then find a song to fit it, or take a song that already exists and put lyrics on top of that. Those are all different options you might want to try out to see which one fits you best. For me, my mind is definitely in the music, so in most cases, I'm going to start with the melody or the chords. Nope, in every case, in most cases, I'm going to start with the chords or the melody. If I've got some just melody in my head, I'll find out what are the chords that go underneath that, and then I'll try to put some lyrics on top of that. But for my line of work, actually, you don't need lyrics in a lot of the songs, so they just kind of stand alone on their own as non-lyric songs. But when I do have a good idea for a lyric, then I'll try to give you the guidelines for throwing that stuff in. So anyway, for all the people I've talked to, they all start different ways. In another life, when I was, before we doing this Learn Piano Live thing, I did make a decent amount of money taking people's melodies that they sung, people who didn't play an instrument, and they would write some melody that they were sure was going to be the next number one hit on the pop charts, but they didn't know like what the chords were or how to write the sheet music for anything like that. So I would take those people's recordings. A lot of times back in those days, it was cassette tapes that they would send me, and then I would put the chords underneath it based on what I thought, from what the melody implied, what I thought the chords were supposed to be underneath it, and they'd give me feedback about, it all sounds good except for this one chord here. So anyway, there are apparently a lot of people out there, maybe you, who are just writing these melodies that don't have chords that go with them. And of course, there's tons of people who have good lyrics, or think they have good lyrics, and just don't have a song to go with it, but they're sure it's supposed to be a song. So anyway, those are some different options. You don't have to have one of them before the other, and there's, like I said, there's no consensus on what the best way to do that is. General clear writing techniques. So you want to be very specific. Don't use general words when you can use more specific words. Use the active voice, is talking about what is, look up active and passive voice. Basically, you want it to give the feeling of something happening, not something that could be happening. Active and passive voice, and then using creative verbs instead of just your regular, do and go and went and hit and all that stuff. You want to use as creative words as possible. And so, yeah, we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time at Learn Piano Live working on good writing techniques, but maybe the teacher at your local high school or your local junior college or something, or you could just look it up on Uncle Google and ask him about good writing techniques. But anyway, those are three probably of the more applicable ones to writing songs. Audio recording any ideas, this is huge for me, and because I have both a terrible memory and a ton of kids running around my house, like as soon as I come up with an idea, if I don't say it out loud, it's gone. But because I'll get out of the shower or whatever, and then someone's calling my name, and then I get distracted. Oh, I had that one idea, I had that one song. What was it? How did it go? And then the frustration. So as soon as you come up with any idea that comes to you, whether it's a lyric idea or a song idea, I'd highly recommend singing it out loud as soon as possible, and then keep on singing it until you get to a recorder where you can record it, and then you'll have that to work with later, which you might find out later when you go back to it, it was absolute trash, as sometimes I do, but at least you'll be able to capture your ideas that way. Think of when you're writing lyrics and you're trying to write a parallel, an analogy for whatever you're doing, whatever you're writing about, because it's probably going to be love or freedom. Yeah, it's probably going to be love or freedom if you're writing a pop tune. Then think about instead of trying to come up with an analogy that fits the situation well, think about the last time that you felt the way that you're talking about. So if you're talking about, for example, a breakup, right? And so we want to make an analogy for verse 2 to a breakup in verse that I'm explaining in verse 1. So things that are like a breakup is a rock cracking in two, or what else is like a breakup? A piece of paper tearing in two. Now these are literally like, these are analogies for a breakup that are like the breakup. But as opposed to thinking about what is actually like this situation that I'm trying to describe, in songs, especially in poetry, in writing, it's much more helpful to think about how did I feel the last time this happened to me? And that might be, something entirely different. Instead of talking about rocks or pieces of paper or any other analogy that literally works, you'll be talking about, when was the last time I felt like this in a breakup? Well, when my grandpa died, when I lost my, when my dog ran away, or I lost a toy of mine when I was a kid, or other times where you felt that thing. And it's not always, a depressing feeling, whether it's, getting back together with someone. Well, what does that feel like? That feels like, I don't know. Whatever, the last time you felt rejuvenated, like you got done running a long way, or you won a prize, or something that is an analogy with the emotion as opposed to the actual thing that you're describing. So emotion is analogy. Specifying emotions, again, like I said, you're probably talking about love or freedom, but if you're writing a pop tune, but you want to talk about something more specific than love. What particular aspect of love are you talking about? And try to drill down. How is there a way to be more specific about that? Well, yes, it's not just love. This is a breakup. Okay, can you be more specific than that? Well, it's actually the second time I broke up with this person, or it's the first time I ever broke up with someone. Okay, well, is there a way to be more specific than that? Well, it's the first. So you try to keep asking yourself that until you can't be more specific, and that's the type of song that you're writing, not just a general love song, trying to be specific. But that's kind of back to just general good writing guidelines. By the way, we're getting to chords here soon. So better than love or freedom, or whatever the other general topic is that you're writing about. Steel conceptual structures. So this is like we talked about with, AABA or ABA or ABC or whatever the different forms for the actual music are. There's going to be forms for lyric writing as well. It wasn't until Bob Kilpatrick, the guy that we interviewed here for Learn Piano Live a couple years back when we were just first starting, and I was asking him about lyric writing because he's made a good deal of money doing that, and he was talking about how in most cases that he works with, the chorus is a resolution for the problems that you present in the verses. So that, as it's like he said that, I was like, okay, cool, that sounds like an interesting idea. And the more I listened to other music, the more I realized, yeah, this chorus is the same chorus, but every verse is just a problem that this chorus solves. So I've got a couple examples for you here. We might not listen to all of it. But so here is one. Let's try this one. This is by a guy named Tim McGraw. He's made a little bit of money with his lyric writing. And this is a song called Don't Take the Girl. Perhaps you've heard it. But we'll point out hopefully the problems in the verses that get resolved by the same chorus or very similar chorus every single time. So here's our intro. The chords are stolen, by the way, exactly straight from the verse, like we predicted.
Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing when he was 8 years old. A little girl came.
So this is the verse one.
Gate, holding a fishing
So a girl wants to go along with him fishing.
His dad looked down and smiled. Said, we can't leave her behind. Son, I know you don't want her to go, but someday you'll change your mind.
So the problem is that there's a girl who wants to go fishing, and Johnny doesn't want the girl to go fishing. Now here's the chorus, and I've already kind of told you the punchline that this chorus is going to come back multiple other times. So if you haven't heard the song before, then as you listen to this chorus, think, well, what other problems could Johnny have that this chorus would solve? Here we go.
Then Johnny said, take Jimmy Johnson, take Tommy Thompson, take my best friend Bo, take anybody that you want, as long as she don't go. Take any boy in the world. Daddy, please don't take the girl.
So don't take the girl is the plea of Johnny. So we're going to now run into other situations in which Johnny has to also request, please don't take the girl. Here we go. And here's our little interlude, which we didn't talk about in the other two lessons, but it's basically an intro. Again, chords and melody stolen exactly perfectly from the verse.
Same old boy, same sweet girl, 10 years down the road. He held her tight and kissed her lips in front of the picture show. Stranger came and pulled a gun, grabbed her by the arm, said, if you do what I tell you to, there won't be any harm.
So now he's getting mugged to the movies with that same girl, but they're 10 years older. So apparently Johnny got over his hate of her, and so now they're going out. And so now we have the same thing where Johnny's going to say, please don't take the girl. Now, whether you like this song or not, this is a creative use of choruses solving the problems raised in verses, and you'll find this in songs all over the place. It's almost done. Here's only one more verse.
Take my money, take my wallet, take my credit cards. Here's a watch that my grandpa gave me. Here's a key to my car, mister, give it a whirl. But please don't take the girl.
And then we're back in with our interlude again. The melody and chords still in straight from the verse. Last verse.
Same old boy, same sweet girl. 5 years down the road, there's gonna be a little one, and she says it's time to go. Doctor says a baby's fine, but you'll have to leave, 'cause his mama's fading fast, and Johnny hit his knees, and
there he prayed, don't take the girl. So anyway, thinking of choruses as ways to solve the problems gives you a convenient way, like we were talking about yesterday in yesterday's lesson, to keep that hook or that chorus coming back over and over and over and over. So you are training your audience to know that little hook, to want to sing it by the time the song is over, but it feels like the story is continuing on when really the story is not. It's at the chorus, it goes to a problem, comes back to the same resolution. It goes to another problem, comes back to the same resolution. To another problem, same resolution. Maybe a bridge and then the same resolution. So it feels like you're going through Johnny's life with him, so it feels linear, even though it's really quite cyclical. So anyway, let's finish this thing off.
take the very breath you gave me. Take the heart from my chest. I'll gladly take her place if you'll let me. Make this my last request. Take me out of this world. God, please don't take the girl.
Now, at the end of the song, I want you to hear this because he does something that's pretty.
Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing when he was 8 years old.
So that's a pretty blatant use of the principle, but if there's any way at the end of your song, especially if you're telling a story, like this song does, and like a lot of country songs do, if you're telling a story, if you can, when you get to the end of the story, loop it back around to the beginning of the story, then that's really helpful. I think this was a really poorly done version of this, but again, Tim McGraw's making way more money than I am, so who cares what I think about it? But he's just taking the first line of the first verse and repeating it. So it seems like a really cheap way to do it, but it links it back to the beginning and makes everybody remember the journey that they've come through with you, that they feel, again, is linear, but it's not in a straight line. It's actually coming back to that chorus over and over. So anyway, there's one example. There are a million others, but pay attention to the structure of the lyrics as you listen, just like we talked about yesterday and the day before about when you're listening to a song. Try to pay attention to what are the sections that are repeating, what is the order that they put them in, especially for the songs that you like, because you're going to want to write like those songs. So what did they do? Did they solve a problem in the chorus, or do they make it cyclical? Do they just keep coming back to it and not try to make it, talk about Johnny and then talk about Fred and then talk about Matt and then talk about Jenny and then, and solve the same problem but with different people? Or is the chorus not a problem solver at all? Is it maybe the chorus is the problem and each of the verses tries to come up with some creative resolution for the problem presented in the chorus? Anyway, just paying attention to that stuff will help you come up with better techniques on your own. Write a lot and on a deadline. So that's one thing that definitely crosses over from writing novels or short stories or whatever, just general writing and then songwriting, is you just got to put a lot of really cruddy stuff out there. And then, some of it, some small percentage of it, 5, 3, 4% of it is going to be actually useful. So that means you got to just put a lot of content out there. Maybe not publicly, but you gotta practice it a whole lot. And don't think of it as practicing. Just think of it as, again, you're mining, and 5% of the whatever, all the stuff that you mine is going to be usable stuff. So you got to get through that other 95%. So don't think of it as times that you tried to write lyrics and you failed at it. It's just that's what everybody out there is doing. Nobody's writing good lyrics all the time. Higher notes should be accented syllables. So whenever you have a multiple syllable word, in most cases, if you have some phrase like this note right here should be an accented part of the word. So if you have the word big-er, for example, this should be the big part, and then that should be the So when a big something, I don't know, whatever. So you wouldn't want to put a big something, because when you say bigger, it's big-er, not big-er. So you try to follow the accents of the words and match those up with the highest notes of your melodic phrases if you're doing it in a way that the melody already exists. And then it's kind of like that. If you have any note that you're going to be hanging on to for a long time, make sure that that is on a vowel. Hopefully an open vowel, like an ah or an o. I is kind of, or is not really going to be able to be sustained nearly as easily. So if this note was, if we have bigger as the word that you're using there, with a bigger, that's not going to sound as good as smaller, with a smaller. Again, I'm not singing those, but you can see the ah sound is a lot more open than I. So try to use, if you have a sustained note, some note that's going to last a long time, try to, if possible, put more open vowels on those instead of the smaller ones, like thinner ones, I and anything that's closed off in your mouth. You want it nice and big and full and open. Stealing rhythmic patterns. Oh, rhyming patterns. Good, because I didn't know what rhythmic patterns meant. Stealing rhyming patterns. This is, in general, you could follow like a limerick rhyming pattern if you want it in your lyrics, or you could just rhyme every other line, or you could rhyme every pair of lines. There's tons of rhyming patterns out there, but whatever type of song you're writing, go listen to pay attention to the rhyming patterns. Are they rhyming multiple times in a line? So the first half of the line rhymes with the end of the line, or are they rhyming, one line with the next line? What is their pattern of it? And if you see any patterns within multiple songs, that might be something that's specific to that type of a song in that genre. Okay, stealing rhyming patterns. Experimenting with tense. So if you have a song that you've written in the present tense, just try making it all in the past tense. See if that's more compelling, or in the future tense, or maybe different verses in different tenses as you go. So you just try that out, and you might find some to be more compelling, I guess is a good word for it. A single idea per song, well explained. So there's a lot of songs where students will bring stuff in. And again, I'm not the guy to say that this is like a failure of a song or whatever. I'm not the guy to judge their songs. But a lot of times, especially with first-time songwriters, they're just trying to express too many complex emotions within a single song. And so it's, in a lot of cases, you just take this one verse and then, expand that, take that out into 3 different verses and really explain well the emotions behind each one of the parts of this one verse. Because most people just have too much emotion, too many complex emotions going on within a single song. And then one way that you can come up with a good set of lyrics is to think about whatever what's the emotion? Well, how can I say that more specifically? Okay, so, how can I say that more specifically? Well, it's actually this thing. Well, how can I state that more specifically? And when you finally get down to the core idea of what you're trying to express, then say, all right, so what are, 20 words that describe this thing, or that restate it, or that are, they're going to define this very specific idea. And then after you've come up with your own word list out of your own head and your own experience, then go to a thesaurus for each of those words and come up with a good set of words that all are pointed towards this very specific emotion, this very specific goal. Then after you've got your big word list now, try to condense that to, what are the 10 words here that really, most clearly for me, identify the emotion here that I'm trying to express. So you got your 10 words that you definitely want to use in your song, and after that, then you're going to take those 10 words and go to your rhyming dictionary and say, all right, so how could I rhyme with this one? What other words rhyme in here? And then, go back to whatever your rhyming pattern was that you decided you were going to use. So I would definitely do that. Use your own head first, then a thesaurus, then you've got too many words, so you need to condense that list, and then after that, go to your rhyming dictionary. Too many people, I think, from what I see, go straight to the rhyming dictionary. Well, I want to talk about love, and so I'm going to have to rhyme that with dove and above, and they're just trying to rhyme too general of words when, these are 10 words you definitely want to include, and you may not put each of those words at the end of a line. Maybe it's in the middle of a line, so it may not end up rhyming with anything at all, but those are the key words to try to get into your song, not the topic of the song, like love or whatever, or breakup or whatever that song was supposed to be about. So anyway, that might get you to a better word list, and it is 1:15 already. So let's do this. Last night was when we kind of introduced this list here. Let's save the rest of this list here, and talk more about those as we get more questions about last night's lesson. So if you want these common chord variations, then go check out last night's lesson in the archives if you weren't here live, and then ask your questions based on that, because I'm planning on doing a larger section of this and including this in our learning map and all that stuff as well. So anyway, all of these ideas here, because we're short on time and because we kind of covered it last night, and I want to make sure that we do this completely and well, let's save that for later, and I promise you we will get to all of that stuff, but maybe with some more feedback from you about about what we missed, or we went into too much detail or not enough detail with, and that way we can get to our feature of the day, which is going to be a voicing of the day. So we used this a lot last night in our chord substitutions. It's a 1 for like a C chord, for example. It'd be a 1, and then not the 3, but the 5, and then the 3 up here. So taking the 3 out of a chord and putting it up top, that voicing right there. 1, 5, 3. Try to start using that, even if you can't reach that whole 10th right there, from the 1 all the way up to the 3. Just try rolling it, or using 2 hands. Taking the middle note out of a chord, basically taking it up an octave, and using 2 hands if you need to, will improve the sound of your playing a whole lot. If you're playing these more chunky chords down here, all the notes right next to each other. Let's get to our wrap up, which I'm afraid is going to be kind of difficult with a list of things that we just talked about. So to go back and talk about them is going to take a long time. But I think let's just highlight the biggest things here. Definitely being specific. That's going to help a whole lot. Yep, specific shows up a lot. Emotion as analogy. I think that's a big one. Conceptual structures. That's going to be a big one where you are thinking about what's the purpose of a chorus. What does a chorus do lyrically? What does a bridge do lyrically? And listening to your favorite songs and just paying attention to not the chords and the melody or anything, just what are those parts doing, especially what are they doing emotionally. Writing a lot, that's I hate to make that a main point, but it's probably the most important thing that you could do is just write a ton of stuff. And then I'd say this would be the other one down here, the word list. And then condensing your word list and rhyming the word list to make sure that you get the best words to describe your emotion in there, and not just rhyming conveniently for the song. Okay, I'm going to go with that. And with that, let's get to your questions. Let's see here. All right, question number 1. How often do most of your students write? Probably most of my students don't write, but a large number of them do. I'm going to say a third of them are writing songs. And as far as how often, usually people who like to write are writing somewhat constantly with 2 or 3 songs going at a time. So, and maybe finishing those every few months. So that's my best guess. Next question. What are the best lyricists in your opinion? I should have an answer for this. I don't think I do. In general, country music and anything religious is going to be interesting to me just because the topics are so not varied. Every country music song is about a girl, and every religious song is the same song, but about a god. So they're just the topics, the creativity needed to come up with something unique in a religious or a country context is interesting to me. So I'll go with the genres instead of the actual people, because I don't know who writes most of those songs actually. When do you put lyrics in your songs? Most of the time after I've already done the... usually for me, it's going to be like an idea of like, for example, don't take the girl. So then you have that idea of, oh yeah, you know what, this thing right here, I can see how this applies in a lot of different situations. I can see how this thing is going to turn into a song. What type of song do I want to write? I want to write a sad song, a slow song in 4/4 time, and then I start constructing the song to meet the requirements of the emotion from the lyric idea that I have, even though the lyrics aren't written yet. It's just, I know this is the general direction I'm going to go. I'll write the chords first, and then I'll just keep looping those chords over and over and over, playing them until some kind of melody like comes out of it. Like I just try to like sing along something, do 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 do, and you know what seems to be matching this thing, where the pause is, and then after I have that, then I'll say, all right, so how do I get this lyric, this emotional idea lyrically into this thing that I have? I've got these chords, I've got this melody, and then lots and lots and lots and lots of editing. So probably last, but if I'm going to have a song with lyrics, usually the lyrics started the whole thing, and then the specifics of the lyrics came in at the end. Hopefully that makes sense. And it looks like that's our last question. So until next time, you know I love you. Good luck and have fun writing your lyrics.